and instilled in us by their own examples. Their own examples of going far and wide. Share another example with you, which dawned upon me when I was studying and meeting with a large Afghan Sikh population, which is now dispersed throughout parts of throughout the world as a result of invasions of Afghanistan. But some of these Sikhs who lived in Peshawar and the tribal areas in Afghanistan, their time in those areas goes back to the times of the Gurus themselves. Guru Nanak was very consciously and deliberately, much like he was using Islamic terminology, Hindu terminology, he used a lot of trade terms. He specifically, as Puratana Janamsakhi tells us, went to villages that were essentially trading villages. The residents were traders, Vipar Karan. And he used those terms to convey the message of Gurbani to them. And later on, he told them to disperse off and spread their virtues while making a successful career for them. So the economic trading systems and Gurmat were almost like synchronous with each other. You know, the more they would trade, be successful abroad, establish their communities, they would be representative of the Panth, they'd be spreading Sikhi at the same time. Well, I want to conclude with what we can do in our times and our societies. I think we are to be congratulated. This Gurdwara has been very, very active in proactively engaging with the wider world around us, interfaith, environment, and so many other ways that they sometimes bring representatives, as may be present today, from the government to the Gurdwara, or take the community to these places. But really, Baisakhi's as good a time, if not the best time, to take another step. If we've already been on this path, I think we should take another step and use Baisakhi as a time to commit ourselves further. How do we do that? Well, we can become part of our neighborhood associations, our PTAs. We're all worried about our young children who did an amazing job a few minutes ago. But sometimes, unfortunately, we only get involved when there's a problem, as a reactive sort of measure rather than a proactive way of involving ourselves. This happened post 9/11 when there was a spate of hate crimes against the Sikhs. I'm glad that organizations such as the Sikh Coalition, SALDIF, and many others came up during this time. But really, if we were perpetually involved in our neighborhood associations, in our PTA boards, in our city, county, state, national, whatever you can think of, then the kind of fear of the other, the sense of being alien, which sometimes is a perception that exists in our mainstream communities, will cease to exist. Because we, through our own personal examples, will be the best representatives of the Panth. Think about non-profit causes. I think each one of us has something we are interested in. And fortunately, many of these causes, be it hunger, homelessness, elimination of disease, they all have precedence within Sikhi. And even if they don't, if we're personally involved in, if we have a member of our family who's afflicted with cancer, we can take part in a cancer walk. And when we take part, we represent the entire Panth. There's so many other things we can get involved in as a way of committing ourselves to this proactive engagement with society. Our website, I was going to say, websites for Gurdwaras and Sikh organizations are some of the best and perhaps the least expensive means of outreach, both to Sikhs themselves, where you can teach them about Sikh principles, beliefs, special dates, and so forth, but to the wider world. And I'm sure many in this crowd, many in this Sangat have specific or skills and talents that can be utilized to ensure that our websites are continually updated, so that we keep on engaging with the world around us. With those words, I'd say let us all commit, no matter where we are on the path, commit further to the Guru by at least taking upon a project or an organization becoming involved and continuing our proactive involvement in the time to come. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Gurdeep Singh, the wife of Gulshan Kaur bhi here. I would like to ask her to please stand up and be recognized. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you, Gurdeep Singh Ji. Gurdeep Singh ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਬੜੇ ਚਿਰਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਦਾੜੀ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟ ਸੀਗਾ, ਉਦੋਂ ਤੋਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਮਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੜਾ ਪੈਸ਼ਨ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਹੀ ਵਾਂਟਡ ਟੂ ਬੀ ਰੀਲੀ ਇੰਗੇਜਡ ਐਂਡ ਐਜੂਕੇਟ ਹਿਮਸੈਲਫ। ਤੇ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਨੇ ਬੜੀ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹਨੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਸਟੱਡੀਜ਼ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਹੀ ਇੰਨਾ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਨਵੀਂ ਬੁੱਕ ਪਬਲਿਸ਼ ਹੋਣ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਇਹਦੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਕੰਟਰੀਬਿਊਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਨਾ ਪਤਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਕਿ 1.5-2 ਸਾਲ ਇਹ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿ ਕੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਅਰਬਿਕ ਸਟੱਡੀਜ਼ ਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਇਹਨੇ ਮਟੀਰੀਅਲ ਲੱਭਿਆ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੇ ਨੌਜਵਾਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਾਣ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਵੀ ਵਾਂਟ ਟੂ ਥੈਂਕ ਹਿਮ ਐਂਡ ਆਲਸੋ encourage him to continue on this path. ਤੇ ਇਹ ਬੜੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਕਿ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਦਸਤਾਰਧਾਰੀ ਪੱਗ ਵਾਲਾ ਅਮਰੀਕਨ ਡਿਪਲੋਮੈਟ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਫੋਰਨ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਪਾਇੰਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਹੀ ਇਜ਼ ਗੋਇੰਗ ਟੂ ਕੰਬੋਡੀਆ, ਸੋ ਦੈਟਸ ਅ ਗ੍ਰੇਟ ਅਚੀਵਮੈਂਟ ਫॉर ਆਵਰ ਤੇ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, ਹੁਣ ਮੈਂ ਚਾਹਾਂਗਾ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਖਾਲਸੇ ਦੇ ਜਨਮ ਦਿਹਾੜੇ ਦੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧਾਈ ਹੋਵੇ। ਮੈਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਅੱਜ ਵਿਸਾਖੀ ਦਾ ਦਿਨ ਹੈ and then we reflect, this the day we reflect on our foundation, our roots and our glorious history. We look upon that over the last like 3 or 4 centuries, so many people from the Panth gave their lives, their sacrifice so that we could maintain our Sikhi and our Sikhi tradition. So we moved to this country and we adopted this land, the land of free, as our country, and we felt that, well, ਹੁਣ ਸਾਨੂੰ 84 ਦੇ ਦੰਗਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਇਹ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਏਗੀ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਹੈ ਸਭ ਵਾਸਤੇ। But 9/11 ਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਹਿਲ ਗਿਆ। We realized ਕਿ ਭਈ that is not true. ਮਤਲਬ ਸਾਡੀ just because ਸਾਡੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਹੈ, ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਇਗਨੋਰੈਂਸ ਹੈ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਸਿੱਖ ਕੀ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ, ਜਿਹਨੇ ਪੱਗ ਪਾਈ ਉਹ ਸਿੱਖ ਹੈ। ਸਾਨੂੰ we became target of hate crimes and hate related issues, whether ਤਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ I'm sure you all have experienced or your family members have, you go out on the airport and then you are singled out or your turbans were being tabbed and you were asked to remove those turbans, or in schools or a lot of other places where we were being singled out. And and then came the organization, the Sikh Coalition, and I'm so glad कि भाई सारे गुरुद्वारा, सारी संगत उन्होंने आज honor कर रही है. I'm sure all of you have looked through their contribution over the last 9 years. They really made a big, huge difference. Whether it was dealing with the federal government, whether it was dealing with TSA, so that the people who are actually frisking or security officers are being educated about it. And like one of the biggest things that was in the news recently was when there were 2 army officers that were being trained, and they were going to be part of the army, but they wanted to be go in 6th Route and be with the stars, and they were not being allowed. And I think Sikh Coalition played a very important role that army took back that decision. And I think they're still working very hard to make sure that this becomes a rule where Sikhs could proudly serve in their land, which we serve in. We know that Sikhs are all, they have been very brave. They will, be a huge they want to contribute to that cause as well. So I think they'll do that. And again, it seems like whether it was like a school kid who was discriminated in New York or several such incidences. Now I feel that we have a voice that you could go to, and they will talk to the government, they will talk to local authorities on your behalf. So I think that I'm very honored that we have Sardar Ajit Kaur, who's founding director and board member of Sikh Coalition here, and we also have Sardar Rajdeep Singh, who's director of public policy in Washington DC for Sikh Coalition here. So I would like to invite them over and
मैं सरदार सरबजीत सिंह होना कहांगा कि सेवा अवार्ड उन्होंने पेश करेंगे।